Hello, I am Annihilator and welcome to my Centurion 7.1 Tier 9 medium tank review from the British Tree. So the first thing I'm going to look at in this review, just to give you an idea of the whole line, I have done a review on the previous tank, the Centurion 1, so you can check that out as well if you want. But I'm going to look at the tech tree in just kind of a glance over real quick here. So I'm going to skip the first few tiers because you won't spend too much time there. You get to the Crusader, which is a light tank with an autoloader, decent enough gun, decent pen, and it gets regular matchmaking up to tier 7. You shouldn't have too much trouble there. Then you get to the Cromwell, which is a really nice tier 6 medium tank. It's fast, it's agile, it has good DPM and a pretty good punchy gun, which still maintains its a good level of pen, but very paper armor, so just watch out for that. Paper all over. Then you trade some of that speed in the Comet, where you gain a much greater mantlet. While the turret isn't that strong, the mantlet is pretty tough, so you will actually be able to use that to bounce some shots coming in towards you, and you're just dropping mobility for that. It gets pretty much the same gun with better fire rate. And then you move on to the Centurion 1, which is again dropping even more mobility, and it's pretty much keeping the same armor, but it's upgrading the entire turret as well as the mantlet, and then changing the gun. The gun goes up to a 20 pounder, which is awesome. You get 226 pen with 230 alpha, really punchy, really accurate, and really nice levels of pen. You're just sacrificing that you have a massive hull and paper armor pretty much, so just watch out for that. The Centurion 1, or 7.1 then, is trading not too much actually. It's pretty much the Centurion 1 with a buffed gun and buffed hull armor, buffed HP, all that kind of the usual stuff, as well as buffed view range up to 410, which is awesome. So, and then basically the FV at tier 10 is pretty much the same as the Centurion 7.1, a different turret. I'm not going to say it's buffed or nerfed because it's different in different ways. It's pretty much a buff though. It's just got better sloping, but it is a lot bigger, and that's about it. It's faster as well. So all in all, as a summary of the line is awesome. There are no weak tanks in the line apart from the tier 10. Most people consider to be one of the worst mediums at tier 10. So I'm going to stick on tier 9 on the Centurion 7.1 until perhaps they change the FV402, which they have been talking about for a while, and they swap it for something else. But a lot of people complain about the Comet. I'm telling you, you're doing it wrong. There is a way to play that tank, and it is awesome. So let's have a look at the most important thing the Centurion 7.1 brings to the fight, and that is the gun. This big 105mm Royal Ordnance L7A1 gun is amazing. You get a 5 rounds a minute, which equates to about 10 point something second reload, depending obviously on your crew, equipment, all that kind of stuff. Your average penetration is 268 with APCR rounds, which is awesome. 268 is massive for tier 9. Most other tier 9 guns for the medium tanks hover in around 220, so 268 is a massive advantage over them. You're going to be able to pen heavies quite easily from the front. And as well, it brings 390 average damage, which is awesome, and that is a great punch. You're trading off obviously a lot of fire rate for that, and it is rather poor DPM. But once you look then at the accuracy and the aim time as well, are fantastic on this gun. 2.3, it's not the fastest that it could be, but it's not slow either, and you should have no problem sniping with this at all. It is a fantastic gun at close, medium and long ranges. Only thing at close ranges is if you bounce a shell, you've got 10 seconds before you can reload it, and that might cost you a lot of HP, so just be very careful aiming when you're at close range. And that is the big thing that the Centurion 7.1 differs from in previous tanks in the line, as it trades its DPM, which they usually had, for much more alpha damage. Then turning over to look at mobility, this thing is not the fastest. It has great acceleration. As you can see, this Rolls-Royce Griffin engine has 950 horsepower for a total weight of 52.5 tons on my setup, with a 20% chance of fire, which is quite high. That is why I picked the premium fire extinguisher. And it's, in terms of acceleration, it's great for hill climbing, all that kind of stuff, but you just got to watch your top speed. As you can see, the top speed limit is only 40 kilometers an hour, and going downhill that can be about 45 to 50 or so. You're not going to go much faster. You're really going to struggle going faster than that. It really restricts sometimes your relocation ability with this kind of cap on the top speed, but your overall mobility is still pretty good. The traverse speed is 32 degrees, which is not bad. It's not the best, but it is certainly pretty good, and it's pretty quick, especially if you combine that with the 36 degrees of the turret. You'll be able to spin around really quickly. Next, I'm going to look at the equipment I would recommend using. There are a few options here, but I'll go through the main ones. I'm using a vertical stabilizer because obviously your medium tank, pretty much every medium tank should take a vertical stabilizer to become the most accurate on the move and for taking snapshots and all that kind of stuff. Then I'm taking a rammer. Obviously you need to buff the DPM as much as you can, it is quite low. And then the last piece of equipment it's a variable. I mean, you could go for improved ventilation, or you could go for coated optics, or maybe even the gun lane drive if you really want to be super accurate. I've gone for the coated optics because I feel the 410 view range coupled with the coated optics pretty much maxes your view range and is going to give you a huge advantage over other mediums that don't have that kind of view range, or in particular heavies that don't have that kind of view range at your tier or below. And this will really make you a good scout tank when needed. Okay, it hasn't got the best camo, but when needed you will be able to spot things and shoot them before they can even see you, so that is a huge advantage there. And the ventilation obviously is just for a general buff of all things. Next we're going to have a look at the ammunition loadout. I carry 60 APCR rounds, 10 HESH rounds and 2 HE. I carry 10 HESH, which you might think to be excessive. It will be such a rare case if you were to actually fire them all. It's only because this thing carries 72 rounds in total for 390 alpha damage. That is huge. That is a massive potential. If you're to look at that as a calculation, your 390 alpha damage rounds times 72 will give you a potential damage of 28,080. That is, in most tanks would struggle in the 18,000 to 20,000 potential damage range. This goes a full 10,000 over that, so your ammunition capacity is massive. So that's why I would advise carrying, you know, a bit more premium maybe than you usually do, because it's no harm. You're never going to get to fire all of your APCR rounds. Who does 28,000 worth of damage before they go down? Never seen a number that high. The highest I've ever seen is about 12,000, so you're not even going to come close to that. Even if you bounce half of them, you'll barely scrape it. So that will be my advised ammo loadout. Obviously you can customize there to your own whim. For the consumables I use a large repair kit because everything gets damaged in this. I'll be showing you the armor model shortly to display, you know, how quite weak the armor really is, but your ammo rack is everywhere in the frontal hole pretty much, so that's going to get knocked out quite often. Unless you have, say, stowage, you really need that to help, as well as the engine and tracks can get taken out in one shot. So this is why I take the large repair kit, to get all of these things repaired up in one go, so you don't have to be going around with a damaged engine or a damaged ammo rack for the rest of the game, or a damaged turret in some cases. Small repair kit, you don't lose your crew too often. If a crew member is going down, it's either your driver or your gunner. Very rarely the commander will go down, and very rarely the loader. And automatic fire extinguisher, as I already mentioned, is to combat the 20% chance of fire upon impact, and the massive ass size of the Centurion 7.1, which is all paper armor. 30 rear armor is just nothing. Scouts will pen this at like crazy angles even. So going through everything I have here, there's only one thing left, which is the crew. So let's go over and have a look at these guys. My commander is currently on 3 skills. The skills I've gone for is 6th Sense, but obviously I went camo first, or you can go mentor first, depending on where this crew is coming from and whether you've kept a previous tank and starting a new one. You should train up camo skill up to 100%, start a second skill, say repair or whatever the hell you want, till it's 30%, then drop them for credits if you wish, or for gold, and you can skip the 30% thing, and then swap it to 6th Sense, and this will give you 6th Sense right away. So I've gone 6th Sense, repair, and then camouflage. And then for the gunner, I have gone snapshot, repair, and then camouflage again. This follows a pattern. For the driver, I've gone smooth ride, repair, and camouflage. And for the loader, safe stowage, repair, and camouflage. So I've got a full repair crew on this tank, which makes the track repair less than 3 seconds with the premium repair kit, which also reduces or increases your repair time or repair speed by 10%. So this makes track repair as good as instantly. You know, there's no tank in the game that's going to be able to reload in less than 3 seconds unless it's an autoloader. So you're pretty much able to maneuver your tank after being tracked for free. And this also saves you the repair kit for later, so you don't have to spend it on tracks too often. Unless obviously they get damaged in with something else. Now obviously I'm using the snapshot on smooth ride for increased accuracy on the move, which allows you to get your snapshots off a little better. The aim dispersion is relatively poor on the Centurion 7.1, so you need to watch out for that. And I'm also getting the camouflage skill, so once you're shooting through bushes in this, you won't get spotted, which is a huge advantage to have over your tanks, because sometimes I found early on, before I had the camouflage skill up to as high as it is now, if I was shooting through bushes, regardless of, you know, if it was just one dense bush, I'd still get spotted shooting through it because of the high caliber of the gun. So this is, you know, to counteract that a lot, and it does work as well for sitting in the open and scouting. Because you've got your coated optics, you will spot a target 435 to 30 meters away, and they won't see you because you're sitting still with your camo. You get your free shot, and you can go back down into cover, and that's a free shot done with no damage taken. So that's always a huge advantage there. The next crew skill is really kind of personal dependent. You can get a number of things. It's mostly going to be these kind of skills. For the commander, I would recommend recon as a fourth skill. For the gunner, I would recommend either Deadeye or designated target, depending on which way you're going, but either one, they only come into effect once they reach 100%, so they're not going to be the most useful to you immediately. So you may choose to swap it later, but you're wasting a lot of XP that way, and you know, whatever. Clutch braking for the driver, no, I wouldn't recommend any of these. I was going to say or controlled impact, but how the hell? It's heavy, but there's no point in ramming with it. You should try and keep your HP. So clutch braking will be the fourth skill there. And for the loader, the fourth skill I will be calling is situational awareness to further extend the view range another 3% and 2% for the commander with recon. So now let's swap over to Tank Inspector to have a look at the armor layout of the Centurion 7.1. Okay, unfortunately Tank Inspector kept crashing every time I tried to record, so that's awesome. So instead I'll just do it here, as I do actually know the armor layout myself. So it's 121mm here on the front, not 120 like it says there. It's 121, slope back at about 60 or so degrees depending on what angle you're coming at it from, but from the front that's going to be about 200mm thick, which will actually bounce scouts quite reliably. And once you angle it to about here, it's 240 to 250, and any further than that and it becomes an auto ricochet zone. So it's actually not too bad on the frontal armor, but anything shooting from your front will go right through if it's a higher tier gun. The sides are very, very thin. You're going to have to angle them about this far before you start actually soaking anything, which can be difficult sometimes, because once it goes further than that, it's just going to auto pen pretty much everywhere. Even low tier guns will go right through all that. That's only the little bit of spaced armor here is only actually 6mm thick, and then you've got your tracks, and then your hull, which is paper. That's only 50, or actually I think it's 52. So misleading numbers here, but yeah, it's paper on the side. But the turret, and the same with the ass as I already mentioned, but the turret is where the armor actually kicks in. You have about 150mm or so of spaced armor here on this mantlet, varying in different places, split into three sections: the top section, the middle section, and the bottom section, as well as this bit here being a different piece of armor to these four bits around it. So it's kind of awkward that way, but most of the time the majority of guns will soak, especially at the angle they're hitting. As you can see, there's a big slope here of 75 degrees at the most extreme parts, shooting from the front. So you know, it's about 400 effective armoring shooting at the top of these. The middle obviously though is a lot weaker, and it's only about 200, so it really depends on where they hit you in the mantlet for it to go through. Then we move on to the top of the turret, and this is actually quite interesting. From about the front, maybe this kind of level, it's an auto bounce area, but even if you angle up just a little bit more, once you kind of go above the gun level, when the gun is level, it just becomes about 110mm of armor. So if they hit that from below you, it's guaranteed to bounce 100%, and even if they hit it level, most of the time it will bounce. It really depends on where they hit, because they can actually clip this tiny little bit up there and it will pen, which is kind of weird because it de-slopes just at the end. So I'd love to show you the armor zones in Tank Inspector, but it wouldn't let me, so hopefully I've gone through everything there that I can think of. The hatch is basically never hit, don't worry about that, it's not a target. It's just too small, too flat, and it's actually got some bumps and ridges and some sloping on it, so you can actually bounce things off it, which is quite interesting. Now I think that's everything we can do in Garage about this tank, so let's go over and have a look at a very versatile game I had in it that came right down to the end. It wasn't actually won by me, but I had an awesome game in the carrying of it, so let's go have a look at that. So here we are in game in a Centurion 7.1 and a T-54 platoon, with Sabzul in his T-54. This I think is a pretty good combo because the T-54 can support the Senti when it's reloading. You know, it's got frontal armor, all that kind of jazz, as well as DPM and a fire rate. So the Centurion 1 and T-54 in my opinion go quite well together. We're in a top tier game, which is awesome. I'm just going to show you the acceleration and top speed of the Senti before I speed it up a bit until we actually get to the battle.
Let's get
So here we are, immediately goes to about 20 kilometers an hour within a second. So that's awesome. Nice stop because I'm derping. So here, once you see the top speed, we're barely pushing past 45, even going downhill. So that's where your kind of top speed comes into play. Just going to speed it up a little bit until we get to the front line. Okay, so here we have the Type 59 spotted, so far on his own, and I'm trying to get a shot in between the buildings here that you can shoot through on a hidden village. IS-3 has been spotted behind him. Type 59 gets hit by my platoon mate, and I see a tasty shot here in the front lower plate, I think what that was. It was kind of hard to see. He's looking at me, so I back off, but he fires at Sam instead, so I come out here, and I'm going for the ammo rack shot. Don't get it, unfortunately. It would have been nice to just blow him up right there. The IS-3 as well, I think, is trying to peek out here. I kind of see flashes of him over the rock, the building, but no real clear shots. So I'm going to move up and try and get rid of this Type 59 instead. And then a Centurion 1 is spotted on full HP coming in as well. So I can't actually shoot through that bit there is solid. I instead go for the IS-3 because I feel him on full HP is just more dangerous. He for some reason peeks out again. I get my shot. He unfortunately hits me as well in the front here, where it's going to auto pen pretty much. Centurion 1, I know I can shoot through here and all this cover. It's not actual cover, it just reduces your penetration by 25 for every piece of destructible cover you have to go through. And for a gun like this, it's not going to have any trouble penning tanks like that over and over and over through, no matter how much cover there is between you. Unfortunately, last shot doesn't connect there for the kill. Going to move in on this IS-3 now, as the IS-2 has dealt with the Centurion 1, which is nice of him. Get really unlucky there on the IS-3. That should have gone onto the front wheel, went right down to the bottom of the aiming circle, and only detracked him. I think he spends a repair kit on it. He had a free shot in his ass. I don't know why this guy came out here in the first place. I mean, this is medium tank zone where mobility is going to be key, not armor. There we are. We've dealt with this and we've kept most of our HP here. Only took one shot off the IS-3, so not too bad. Going to move up now and try and deal with either the base campers or flank along into these guys. So we're going to kind of do both at the same time. The Panther 2 is spotted. Going to get a nice shot on his hull there. Rolling just a bit below average. Now I'm quite cautious of that Su-122-44 because you really have to be careful that everything can damage you in the Centi, which is kind of annoying. If you're in something like a T-54 or even a Patton, you know, you can pretty much ignore some of the lower pen either light tanks or the TDs like the Su-122-44, which only has 175mm of penetration, so he's not gonna have the easiest time going through the front of a T-54 or something like that, but he could very easily pen at pretty decent angles as well, the sides of the Centi 1, or if he's shooting down on at the upper plate as well, no problem. So looking at the situation, I see that Sam here is dealing with the Stormil and the Su-122-44, and he shouldn't have any problems with those, so I'm going to be able to leave him to that. I'm going to just accelerate us up a little bit here. Now this T-44 makes a huge mistake actually. He pushes forward here when we're outnumbered. You really don't want to be doing that. Shoot a bit too late on that T-34, and unfortunately goes onto the side of his mantlet rather than his turret. He's coming out hull down and I'm not loaded yet, so the best thing to do is to back off, wait for him to do something else and then come back out again. Because he would just get a free shot on me and you'd be throwing 400 maybe plus HP. Unfortunately it wasn't the best aim shot, but still it could have had a decent chance of actually penning him in the side there. Unfortunately it goes high into the bottom part of his mantlet. Here he's turning his turret to the T-44 so I can kill that guy for him. Now I see this Su-122-44 is actually demolishing the ass of that T-44, who's unwisely decided to go up here. He should have stuck down here with me. We can deal with this guy, then move on to these guys, but he's just gone for it, and he's gotten flanked, so that was a bad play by him. There was no way to help him out there. So this SU-1244 could easily, very easily kill Sam if he just rushes him, tries to get a flank shot or something, so I need to help out, try and get some damage in on this guy to save Sam the HP, because it'll be a very difficult thing to win with just me alone. I'm not going to have the damage output to kill all the guys left. So there we go, the SU is dead. And unfortunately the Jagdtiger has come back and manages to hit me. And I don't get a return shot, but I'm thinking, you know what, he might come back. He might be greedy and he might come back. So I'm going to get here, I'm going to wait, I'm going to aim my shot. There he is around the corner, top of the engine deck, or top of the frontal hull, and it goes in very nicely. Down here where he can't damage me. Currently nearly at 5,000 damage, will this make it 5,000? Snapped into the turret out of the aim circle, because that makes sense, and 5,000 damage has been reached. So already this has been an awesome game, but I think we can go a bit further. How about one free Jagdtiger, please? Thank you very much. So I'm just going to look for this target to give me a free kill, but Sam makes it anyway. I then tell him to actually go back to the cap, because I don't think we can win this in an all-out fight, or even if we do, it'll be very close, and it's very easy to lose it. And you really don't want to lose a game like this. You know, you've had an awesome game, we've already got a BIA medal if we survive. Don't want to throw that as well. But let's see how it goes. So he's gone back to the cap, I'm going into the fight here to try and slow these guys down. I see the Tiger P, he's on a one shot, so I'm going to have to take him out as quickly as possible. Eliminate the gun from the game. Because, as I said before, in the Centi, every tank is pretty much as a threat to you, because the vast majority, apart from maybe some of the scouts, can pen you quite reliably from the front. As you can see with this T-29, he hits the top of my turret, shooting up at it and pens with the 90mm. There's no way that was AP, it's only 160 pen. Had to have been gold. Get a free shot on the Leva, well, not a free shot, he hit me as well. That's where I make the mistake. I should have gone left earlier. Underestimated the Leva's ability to reload the shell, and he actually managed to kill me. It was that T-54, or not the T-54, the T-29 pen on the top of the turret that really got me. I was super confused by that, because he was below me and shooting up. So that's kind of weird. And then the Jagdtiger calls us noobs. And I'm like, what? Why noobs? Are you for serials, bro? Then oh wait, no, he's not calling me a noob, he's calling my platoon mate a noob for capping against 3 tanks when he's on a one-shot. Oh, how could I be so silly? Oh, what an idiot. Like, look, he's on 250 HP. That Leva can easily one-shot him. He's on 600 HP. He's going to be able to take 2 hits before he goes down. It's very likely, with 232 pen, he's going to go right through the front of the T-54. This was the perfect play to make. It guaranteed the game. I played a bit too aggressive, just trying to slow them down, because I knew we'd win by cap anyway. So I was just cementing the game over quite nicely. So this game, you know, I felt demonstrated how versatile the Centurion 7.1 was. You know, it was in the close range, brawling fight with the well, not really close range, it was medium to close range with the IS-3, the Centi, just shooting through cover, the Type 59. And getting shots in without taking any shots back, which is always nice. And then later flanking, you know, picking off your targets, getting your alpha hits in, which is really important. Like on the Tiger, you know, managing to hit him for almost 400 damage without him even being able to touch us, and then doing that twice is awesome. As well with the Jagdtiger being able to hit and then just move quickly enough with the high acceleration to get down into the lower ground, to get into cover. The turret wasn't showcased very well here, unfortunately, with the T-29 penning it with the 90mm, but I assure you, the mantlet is very strong. It is, don't worry. As you can see on the minimap, due to that bug where it shows you everything that's spotted at the end of the game, the Leva was still maybe another 20 seconds away from the cap, so the game was cemented pretty much. And that was 6,500 damage. I think we'll have a quick look at what replays and then my overall evaluation of the Centurion 7.1. Let's go have a look. On what replays we can see that this wasn't actually a mastery badge. 6,500 damage and 1,308 base XP is not a mastery badge. I've gotten many mastery badges in the Centurion 171, but I thought that would have been one as well. Generally 1300 is a mastery badge for pretty much any tank, apart from very few exclusive ones. But it was an awesome game. 24 shots fired, hitting 21 of them, penning 19, so only 2 bounces there, and 6,500 damage dealt, which is awesome. And 2.44 kilometers traveled is not too bad either for the speed of this tank. It was quite versatile. And the enemy team there, the Ag Tiger, had a nice time kill stealing with barely even 4k damage and 7 kills. And then an overall profit of 9,000 because I died, and repairing this vehicle cost nearly 18,000 credits. Oh my god. But I only fired APCR. The ammunition is quite expensive actually, so you're not going to make a profit a huge amount of the time unless you have awesome games and you don't take too much damage and you don't miss shots, like I missed a few shots there. But with premium count that would have been 36,000 profit, and who's complaining about that? Awesome. So let's go over to the tank evaluation where I'll give my little, I don't even know what to call it, scores? Call them scores. Let's go have a look. Okay, so first things first on the Centurion 7.1, and that is the weaponry, the main thing the tank is about. I'm going to give it a 9 because the gun is monster, 390 alpha and 268 penetration with APCO rounds which fly very very quick. At tier 9 is awesome, and as well coupled with great accuracy and pretty good aim time as well. There's nothing really to complain about with this gun apart from the fire rates. That's why it's not getting 10 because the DPM is quite low, but overall the gun is awesome. Next we have mobility, which I'm going to give an 8 because the mobility, while it's not got a good top speed, it is very agile and it turns very quick. There's nothing to complain about, so it can't really go higher than an 8, but that's still pretty good. The armor unfortunately only gets a 6. That's pretty much boosted up by the turret, but the hull is really a letdown in a lot of ways because pretty much everything is going to go through your hull. Even at some of the extreme angles, the only chance you're going to get a bounce in your hull is the upper plate, and sometimes even the turret, as you saw in the game, trolls as well. For carry though, this gets a 9 because if you platoon this up with some other tier 9 mediums where you can support them the whole time, you're going to have an awesome time because you're just going to be able to rock and roll every game you go into. Lots of HP, lots of damage, lots of potential to carry the games. The trolls, unfortunately, there's nothing very trolly about this tank, so it only gets a 4. The only trolls you can get maybe are the high alpha damage for a medium tank, and maybe the high pen, penning some redonkulous shots. That's really all you can troll with, and maybe sometimes with the turret. So nothing too many trolly things here. It's just a really fun, very, very reliable tank to play. And then for the final score, I'm going to give this tank a 9. Very much recommended. I love it. It's one of my favourite tanks at the moment, and I enjoy playing it a lot, especially in platoons where you can have a lot of fun. So I hope you enjoyed this review. I hope it was comprehensive and detailed everything you need to know about the Centurion 7.1, maybe how to dispatch it if you're fighting it, or you know, how to play it if you're struggling, or if you want to go for it or go up the line. It's a really good line to go for. So if you did enjoy it, I would really appreciate it if you subscribed if you haven't already, or liked the review, or shared it around, or do whatever the hell you usually do. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.